say there is extraterrestrial life, and how many planets in the galaxy have we found now that could sustain life even in a close proximity to us?
Quite a few.
So
but Diana Pasulka's work, what they're talking about is not even necessarily something from another planet. Perhaps something from another planet, but maybe
Earth?
something that's from another dimension. Maybe something that's hyper advanced that has the ability to access us and can come and go as it pleases, can go in and out.
So it's basically here all the time. We just can't see it because it's multidimensional.
Yes.
It's fifth dimension.
It's something.
Yeah.
And then also, again, this is what Bob Lazar talked about when he was on the show. He said, if you had brought a nuclear reactor to the 1400s and showed it to people, it'd be indistinguishable from magic. They'd be like, what the fuck is that? This is sorcery. This is crazy. But now it's just normal. As time goes on, 1 million years, 2 million years from now, if somehow or another there's intelligent beings that have continued this evolution of technology and innovation, they're going to get to a place where they have the ability to do things that are unfathomable. You can't even imagine it. Your mind is not capable of it because you don't have a point of reference. You have context. There's not pre-existing technology that leads you to make a logical bridge towards this potential. That's
not the words. Like they talk about some of the stories in the ancient texts and in the Bible. They, they don't have the words to explain like what a spaceship is. It's like, no, it's like a chariot in the sky.
Ezekiel.
Yeah.
When you pull up the description that Ezekiel had of the wheel within a wheel, my God, it sounds like a UFO.
Yeah.
And what a lot of people, I would like to talk to Tucker Carlson about this, because Tucker Carlson has this belief too. He just talked to people about this, and he thinks that it's always been here, and that it's a part of existence, and that this is a part of these biblical stories of angels and devils, and that's what they're really talking about. They're talking about these interdimensional beings, and the darkest theory is one that Lazar talked about. He said something that they talked to him about when he was working on these back-engineered crafts, is that what they use us as is vessels that we are souls. We hold souls, and that this is essentially a farm, and this is how they develop souls through us, and that what our soul is, if you had to imagine, what our soul is some force, something that they farm here with us. When we die, it transcends and becomes whatever they are in whatever space they exist in.
That's what Bob said?
He's talking about it, that this is one of the crazier stories that has to do with religion that's attached to the UFO phenomenon. And Diana
Tucker's
Pasulka
talked about the demonic. What did Diana say?
Well, this is what some of these people think, is that these things have always been here, and they are a part of our history. And that this idea that they're coming here on these metal crafts from another planet is not necessarily the whole picture. That it might be some of that, because we do that. We send drones to Mars. If we get to the point where we have artificial intelligence, or I should say created intelligence, digital intelligence that exists in some sort of a physical form that we can use in a physical craft that doesn't have the biological limitations of tissue, need oxygen, and all the things that would prevent us from being able to travel in deep space. You could send this thing out into the cosmos, and this thing behaves like a life form. We're essentially on our way to doing that. We have a rover that's moving around on Mars right now as we speak. So what is Ezekiel's? I saw an immense dust storm coming from the north, an immense cloud with lightning flashing from it, a huge ball of fire glowing like bronze. Within the fire were what looked like 4 creatures, vibrant with life. Each had the form of a human being, but each also had 4 faces and 4 wings. Their legs were sturdy and straight as columns, but their feet were hooved like those of a calf, sparkled with the fire like burnished bronze. On all 4 sides under their wings they had human hands. All 4 had both faces and wings, with the wings touching one another. They had neither one way nor the other. They went straight forward. They turned neither one way nor the other. They went straight forward. Their faces looked like this. In front, a human face. On the right side, the face of a lion. On the left, the face of an ox. And in the back, the face of an eagle. So much for the faces. The wings were spread out with the tips of one pair touching the creature on either side. The other pair of wings covered its body. Each creature went straight ahead. Wherever the spirit went, they went. They didn't turn as they want. The 4 creatures looked like blazing fire or like fiery torches. Tongues of fire shot back and forth between the creatures, and out of the fire, bolts of lightning. The creatures flashed back and forth like strikes of lightning. As I watched the 4 creatures, I saw something that looked like a wheel on the ground beside each of the 4-faced creatures. This is what the wheels looked like. They were identical wheels, sparkling like diamonds in the sun. They looked like they were wheels within wheels, like a gyroscope. It sounds like if you're living thousands of years ago, and by the way, you tell this story forever before it ever gets written down. There's 1,000 years of oral tradition of speaking these stories before these things get written down. They went in any one of 4 directions they faced, but straight, not veering off. The rims were immense, circled with eyes. When the living creatures went, the wheel went. When the living creatures lifted off, the wheels lifted off. Wherever the spirit went, they went, the wheels sticking right with them. For the spirit of the living creatures was in the wheels. When the creatures went, the wheels went. When the creatures stopped, the wheels stopped. When the creatures lifted off, the wheels lifted off, because the spirit of the living creatures was in the wheels. Well, one of the things that Lazar had said is there's no instrumentation inside these things, that they're piloting them with their minds. Well, think about what they're saying. What is he saying? When the creatures lifted off, the wheels lifted off, because the spirit of the living creatures was in the wheels. Over the heads of the living creatures was something like a dome, shimmering like a sky full of cut glass, vaulted over their heads. Under the dome, one set of wings was extended toward the others, with another wings covering their bodies. When they moved, I heard their wings. It was like the roar of a great waterfall, like the voice of the strong God, like the noise of a battlefield. When they stopped, they folded their wings. I mean, goddamn, man. That sounds like...
That's a UFO.
It sounds like a UFO.
UAP.
That sounds like some fucking insane vision that's beyond comprehension that happens to people that live in a prehistoric civilization. That's probably how you would describe it. And especially if you're telling this story over and over again, it's passed down generation to generation, and then someone writes it down in ancient Hebrew or in Aramaic, and then it has to get translated into Latin and into Greek, and then eventually to English. The whole thing is nuts. And the Vimanas, the ancient Hindu texts that talk about them.
And the hieroglyphs, too. There's a ton of examples of that.
It's likely that they've always been here. And it might be connected somehow or another to our minds. The mind, which produces psychedelic chemicals, might also be a gateway to other dimensions. Whatever you experience when you experience dimethyltryptamine, which we know is produced by the brain, which is the key component of ayahuasca, you experience exactly what they're talking about there. So what is that? Do we just dismiss that as hallucination?
I think we legalize it and promote it and encourage people to do it.
And then the aliens come.
And then
we realize they've been here all along. I think they've probably been here all along. I think they're probably here right now. They're just not here. They're just not here, but they're part of this.
Agree.
We just have a very limited ability to see.
Do you think they're benevolent?
Probably not. No, I don't think so. I think progress requires a lot of chaos. I think human beings, in particular, innovative, creative creatures, have to have something to battle against to become their better selves. We find that in human beings. I think it's probably a universal rule as far as how progress gets perpetrated. It probably gets created through battle. And not just like war. I mean, like battle, like conflict, like competition. It seems to be that's the key driver of innovation in our world, is this sort of competition with each other, which is a form of conflict in a lot of ways. You know, you're battling the other competitors to see who can push each other the furthest and get the greatest discovery quickest.
There's got to be some benevolent races, though, if there's multiple races of...
Perhaps.